I'm Miss Dani from the Pleasant Hills Public Library, and I'm so excited to be here with you today for another installment of Virtual Fairy Tale STEAM. So we're going to be talking about science, technology, engineering, arts, and math as they relate to the legend of Robin Hood. So who was Robin Hood? Perhaps you've heard of the outlaw who lived in Sherwood Forest with his band of merry men, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. But that is a legend, not historical fact. No one knows for sure who Robin Hood was or if he even existed. But it should be noted that there is records of a fugitive named Robert Hood in the English courts in 1225. Maybe they were the same person. Nobody knows for sure. We're going to start today with a retelling of Robin Hood that is read with permission from DK Publishing and Penguin Random House and retold by Neil Phillips. We're only going to read chapter 1 today, but if you'd like to read more, you can request this book using our online pickup service. This is Robert of Huntington. One fine spring morning, Robert, Earl of Huntington, went to meet his sweetheart, Marian Fitzwalter. They strolled arm in arm through the great forest of Sherwood until they came to a beautiful, sun-dappled glade. Robert turned towards Marian, went down on one knee, and asked, "Marian, will you be my wife?" And Marian replied, "I will, with all my heart." In all England there was not a more handsome pair than Robert and Marian, Maid Marian, as all the peasants liked to call her. Standing together in the sunshine as they pledged their love, they hadn't a care in the world. But the young lovers were not alone. For behind one of the great oaks of the forest lurked Robert's treacherous steward, Warman, who had betrayed his master and became a spy for the sheriff of Nottingham. The sheriff and Robert were sworn enemies, for the sheriff and his kind treated the poor peasants worse than cattle, and Robert felt it was his duty to defend them and treat them with respect. Warman went running to the sheriff with the news as fast as his bandy legs would carry him. He found the red-faced sheriff sitting in the gloomy great hall of Nottingham Castle, drinking with his henchman, Guy of Gisborne. Sir Guy, a man with evil eyes and a worse temper, did the sheriff's dirty work. The sheriff rubbed his pudgy fingers together with glee as Warman wheezed out his news. "So," said the sheriff, "the young Robert wants to marry, does he? And he set his heart on the fair Marian. Well, let him dream. On his wedding day we will wake him up." The wedding was set for Midsummer's Day. In the weeks before it, the young happy couple were quite content to leave all the arrangements to Warman, unaware as they were of his treachery. The day of the wedding, Robert and Marian met in church. Just as the vows were to be taken, the church doors were flung back with a crash, and in strode the sheriff of Nottingham, Guy of Gisborne, loping at his side, and 10 armed men following after them. "Stop the ceremony!" roared the sheriff. "What is the meaning of this outrage?" quivered the priest. "Well, this man may not marry. He's been declared an outlaw. This so-called Earl of Huntingdon is a wolf's head." "On what grounds?" shouted Robert. "On the testimony of this man," said the sheriff, pointing to Warman. "Your steward claims you've plotted against the king." "That's a lie," replied Robert. "Take me to the king, and I will swear an oath of loyalty." The sheriff growled. "The king has left for the crusade. There are reports that he has gone missing, either killed or captured. His brother, my friend, Prince John, rules in his absence. He has outlawed you and stripped you of your title and your lands. If King Richard comes back, you may plead for your return." Guy of Gisborne chuckled. "Until then," continued the sheriff, "Sir Guy here will manage your estates." "So this is your plan," said Robert. "You call me a wolf's head, but this Sir Guy is the real wolf." Robert turned to Marian. "My love, I know you do not love me for my titles and lands, but will you still take me, now that I have nothing, not even a name?" "I will," she said, "and I will not rest until I have cleared you of these charges. The king will return and marry us himself." "Then I fear nothing," said Robert. Turning, he picked up a bench and swung it, sending Sir Guy and the sheriff crashing to the floor. "The king will return, and when he does, I will accept his judgment. Until then, I will make my own laws in the greenwood. I will call myself Robin Hood, a name that you will learn to hate and fear." "Seize him!" wheezed the sheriff as he lay sprawled in the aisle. But the outlaw Robin Hood had already slipped into the forest. So that's how he got his name. But what happens next? After Robert of Huntington lost his title and all of his money and became Robin Hood, he moved into Sherwood Forest. Sherwood Forest was the royal forest. Under King Richard, poor peasants were allowed to hunt the deer and other animals that lived there, but under wicked King John, they were not. Anyone caught hunting in Sherwood Forest was sent to prison. Robin Hood did not like that one bit. He didn't think it was fair. So he moved into Sherwood Forest and dressed from his head to his toes in green. As time went on, more brave men joined him in the forest, and they became known as his band of merry men. Now Robin Hood and the merry men would hide in the forest when rich nobles would drive through, and then they would ambush them, steal all of their money, and then send them on their way. They'd then give that money to the poor. Now the nobles, they didn't like that, and so they went to complain to the sheriff of Nottingham, and he, of course, didn't like that either. So he decided to set a trap for Robin Hood. He decided to have an archery contest. Now, Robin Hood was known throughout the land as the best archer. He could shoot anything with a bow and arrow. Nobody was better than him. So the sheriff thought having a contest was the perfect way to trap Robin Hood. The winner of this contest would receive a golden arrow. Now, Little John was Robin Hood's most trusted friend, and he knew that it was a trap as soon as he heard about this contest, and he warned Robin Hood not to go. But Robin Hood thought he could trick the sheriff as well, so he donned a disguise and went to the contest. Everything was going smoothly until the very end, when there was just 2 contestants left, the Sheriff of Nottingham's right-hand man and Robin Hood in disguise. So the Sheriff of Nottingham's man shot the arrow, and it went directly into the bullseye, and the crowd went wild. But now it was Robin Hood's turn. Robin Hood pulled back the string of his bow, and he shot the arrow, and it went and split the other man's arrow in half on the bullseye. While everyone was staring with their mouths open wide, Robin Hood quickly shot 2 more arrows, pew, pew, and trapped the Sheriff of Nottingham. He then ripped off his disguise, revealing himself as Robin Hood, and ran away. Now that was the legend of Robin Hood and the Golden Arrow. There are many different legends about Robin Hood, and you can learn more about them in various books and movies. Online holds have opened back up here in Allegheny County, so you can request items from any library. Here at Pleasant Hills, we do curbside pickup during the hours that staff are in the building. If you'd like us to help you with a curbside pickup, you can give us a call at 412-655-2424 or send us an email at pleasanthills@einetwork.net, and we'd be happy to help you. I'd like to talk very quickly about a couple items we have here at Pleasant Hills Library that you can request. This was one of my favorite movies growing up. It's Disney's version of Robin Hood. In this one, Robin Hood is a fox, Little John is a bear, and Prince John is an evil lion. We read one chapter in this book, Eyewitness Classics Robin Hood, but there are many other legends of Robin Hood in here, as well as facts and tidbits about the history of the legends and England. If you're looking for a version that has all the stories together in a condensed format, I recommend this one. This is the Classic Starts version of The Adventures of Robin Hood. This picture book, Robin Hood, is a very simplistic version of the main legend of Robin Hood. What's a library without some old books? And we have some pretty old books here at Pleasant Hills Library. And here are 2 older collections of various legends involving Robin Hood. This one is The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood, And this one is The Silver Horn of Robin Hood, both available to check out. Lastly, I have one fractured version to share with you. This is Magic by the Book, written by Nina Bernstein. In this story, Anne and her younger brother discover a magical book that sends them into Sherwood Forest. They go on adventures with Robin Hood and the Merry Men, also trying to find their way back home. Okay, friends, it's time for STEAM! Today we're going to be building a bow and arrow, just like Robin Hood used to win the contest in the legend of the Golden Arrow. We do have take-home kits available that you can pick up at our curbside table. If, however, you can't get to the library, you might have a lot of these supplies at home. Our kits look like this, and inside them are 2 large popsicle sticks and 2 small or regular-sized popsicle sticks. And the reason I gave you 2 of each, so 4 altogether, is in case you accidentally break one. There's also some rubber bands, string, a Q-tip that's been cut in half, and an unsharpened pencil. Now, it's very important that if you're going to use the unsharpened pencil for an arrow, do not sharpen it. We don't want anybody to get hurt, right? So the first step for building your bow and arrow is to soak your popsicle sticks in water. On our instruction sheet, we said 1 hour, but after I've done this a couple times, I think actually you should let it sit a little bit longer. In 1 hour, they're not quite pliable enough. Once your popsicles have soaked in water for a while, it's time to cut some notches in there. It'll be easier to cut because it's wet. You'll want to take some scissors and cut little triangles into your stick. This will allow your string or your rubber band a place to stay in there. They don't have to be big triangles. They just have to be enough of a notch where your string or your rubber band will stay put. So let me get those out of the way and you can see that. Then it's time to bend your stick. You want to do it slowly and push both sides towards you. If you have a cup or a bowl, or in my case, a measuring cup, that helps too. You can place your stick inside there and voila, it'll bend for you. Then you can let your stick dry for a little bit. Once your stick is dry, it's time to add the string. Now in our kit, we have rubber bands and we have regular string, and you can try out both. And another nice thing about doing it with a big stick and a little stick is you can do one of each. So for my little stick, I decided to use a rubber band. I took the rubber band and twisted it around itself and then put it on the ledges, and I put my thumb here and pew, there it goes. For the bigger stick, I used a string. I tied the strings around the notches. I have one here that I can pull back. For our arrows, we have Q-tips that are cut in half or an unsharpened pencil. The unsharpened pencil doesn't work super well on the littler stick, but you can still give it a try. Your bows will probably look different from mine, and that's okay. That's part of the STEAM challenge. I want you to design and build a bow and arrow using the materials that you have on hand. Once you're done, it's important to test it out. I'm going to test out my bigger one. Are you ready? Aim, fire! Once you've completed building your bow and arrow, we would love to see pictures or videos of your completed project. Feel free to add them as comments to this post or to send them to us via email at pleasanthills@einetwork.net. All right, friends, I hope you've enjoyed our stories today, and I look forward to seeing you next time for Cinderella Needs a New Carriage. Have a good day. Bye.